I have listens to everything. So,
Okay, you got it.
all righty, here we go.
We love shooting, hunting, and educating. So if you want to learn about long range shooting, you're in the right place. This is the Long Range Addicts Podcast. Shooter ready, stand by.
Hey everybody! Wow, that was bad. I gotta fix that. My board's clear the hell over here, so I've got to unscrew it up. My desk is too big. Apparently, I need a landing and everything else. Um, Again, thanks everybody for listening. Whether you're listening on the podcast channels or whether you're listening to us live, we appreciate it as always. We want to appreciate our title sponsor, Primary Arms, for coming on. Remember, we do have codes for that. If you look down in the comments below, I'll try to put those. There is one. If you buy a Primary Arms optic, you get a free mount. So it's a pretty good deal. Primary Arms, of course, is not just optics anymore. They're selling Glock parts. They're selling body armor. They're selling everything. So next time you're looking for a part, go check out primaryarms.com and you might find something really, 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 really need. I did the other day. I went and bought some. I'm putting together a 19, a set, and a 17. And I was looking for parts. So I'm like, well, heck, I'll go try a sponsor. So I did, and they did have them. So there you go. Anyway, I always want to start this off. Our first section, shit we've seen this week. This is kind of new. I did it in the last one where I introduced myself to everybody. Hopefully y'all listen to that and see kind of my background, where I've come from, and what I really don't know, and I just bullshit y'all on a weekly basis. So I appreciate y'all. But this week, I mean, the big elephant in the room, of course, is Ukraine, right? And I honestly don't know. We're there with media and everything else anymore. You don't know what to believe, right? You don't know what's going on. You don't know who's instigating what, and where do you go to even find some of this information that you really want to know? Because what is Putin doing? We all know Sleepy Joe ain't doing anything. He's just geriatrics, changing diapers and stuff. But what truly is Putin going after and everything else? Comment, let us know what your thoughts are, of course. And it's interesting. What do you guys think? What do you think? What do you think the hell's going on?
I think it's a big. I think it's a big power grab. I usually try to not listen to the news because I get pissed off, and then I throw things in my car and yell out loud, and people think I'm crazy when I'm driving down the freeway. But I don't know. I was listening to Fox News today in between meetings that I had to go to, and I think it's a big power grab. I feel like Putin wants to be the next Peter the Great. That's what some of the commentators were saying on Fox News, and he doesn't give a shit about sanctions or the rest of the world or what anybody thinks about him. And he's the biggest bully on the block right now, next to China, which is another subject altogether. But unfortunately, with the leadership that we have in DC right now and the rest of our country on the left coast, which is where I live, it's the West Coast, but I call it the left coast, and the East Coast, I think we're in a pretty bad situation. And we're not the big dog on the block anymore, and nobody takes us serious. And I just think if we had some leadership in there, like when we had President Trump, I don't know. I think he had an understanding with Putin, and they didn't push each other around, but there was a little bit of mutual respect. And hey, I won't do this, and you won't do that. And now we are where we are because of who we elected, and nobody takes us serious anymore on the world stage. So I think that's a big part of it. And Putin wants to be the Soviet Union again. I think that's his big power play. I was talking to my wife last night. We were watching a little TV sitting on the couch, and she brought up something. I don't remember where she found it on Facebook, but it was about all the different things that the Ukraine is rich in. One of them being uranium and tungsten, and farming, agriculture, I mean, the list went on forever. I think oil was in there as well, which
We're buying like what 300,000 or 400,000 barrels of oil. Was it like a month or a week from Russia? So
yeah,
gas is already through the roof. So now what the hell are we going to do? Because gas is already there. So now they're cutting that off. They cut off the Keystone pipeline. I mean, Biden is backing us into a corner that I don't know how long it's going to even take us to get out of. That's the scary part of it all.
yeah, and I don't know. You know, I mean, I guess that's above my pay grade, and I don't know politics that well, but you know, being a red-blooded American and supporting, you know, all three of us supporting the things that we do and what this country was founded on, I don't know how we get out of it. I think the swamp is so deep and the politics are so dirty in DC. I don't know how we get out of it. And the worst part of it is, you know, if we end up in another war per se, I don't think we're ready or capable right now.
No, and they've done a very good job of cutting, you know, like the things that we have, you know, even in the military from when I was there, they always tried to cut back. You know, and we do overspend a lot in the military. It's a freaking absolute joke, the amount of money we spend on dumb stuff. But, you know, it's a scary thing. One of my old clients, Robinson Armament, he made a post today I was reading, and he goes, you know, back in the early 90s to early 2000s, he goes, I would travel to Russia a lot. And he goes, you know, outside the Kremlin, there was, you know, people begging on the streets. And it was just, you know, it was a third world country. And lately, Putin has done a phenomenal job of putting money in everybody's pocket. I mean, some of the richest people in the world are Russians now, right? You know, you see these giant yachts and everything else. And he goes, now you go there and everything around the Kremlin is BMWs and Porsches. And, you know, it's going to go, I don't know. Yeah, it's scary. You know, and the other thing that really scares me is what China's going to do. Everybody says, you know, the Chinese are starting to make some moves, you know, into some of the different, you know, airspaces, some of that stuff, and it's going to be really interesting in the next little bit. You know, some people are making, you know, funny memes about, hey, you know, I'm veteran, call me up, I'm ready to go in, but I don't think they realize like how possible that could be. You know, if China comes after us, Russia's a big freaking threat. But if China and Russia go, I don't. It's yeah, you better take some freaking extra underwear because that's going to be a fight. You know, the Chinese have all sorts of stuff, and then the other thing is that scares you is Biden put out that post. You know, if any of the Western countries come, I'm gonna fight with different tactics the world has never seen. And it's like, what is that? Are they going to attack, you know, our infrastructure? Are they going to attack electrical? Or are they going to attack, you know, what are they going to, because if they really truly did even get into something like our elections, what does that tell you? That what else can they get into? You know, they've got people that just sit there and go into, you know, everything's controlled by the internet today. If you killed the internet, what's going to happen to the stock market? What's going to happen to everything else? It's
yeah, very scary.
Yeah. It is. It is. You know, some people, what do they say? Yeah, they says it was the plan all along. That's, you know, and that's the thing is, you know, Trump said it today on Fox News. He goes, if it was me in there, they wouldn't do it. You know, they knew that if Trump said something, he was going to do it. Right.
Exactly.
It wasn't going to be something, he doesn't just threaten, you know, who else in the history of the United States has gotten the North Koreans to have a freaking meeting and go, okay, we'll quit. You know what I mean? It was just, It was one of those things, and no one else has done that. EMP, yeah, that one's one of those things that you always worry about. That one's been a big one brought up. But anyway, we aren't here to talk about politics. We're here to talk about guns and shooting and hunting and everything else. So I appreciate that. It was just something I thought I'd saw this week. And we are going to keep doing those. You know, if we see something, we'll try and put it out to everybody, a new product or anything else. But so I can't even talk today. This next session is brought to us by something all three of us have in common, Cryptech. Cryptech Outdoor Group. All three of us are brand ambassadors. We love the line very much. It's probably some of my favorite camo I've ever worn. and I've been a camo whore for a long time. So
I think we all have. Right?
Yeah.
I think we all have.
Yeah. I had a couple of my buddies call me from Mossy Oak, and they're like, "Hey, do you think you can get me connected with that? Because that camo looks good, especially the new Obscura and stuff like that." So that's we definitely appreciate them. Again, if you want to buy something, use my code Ballistics20. That'll get you 20% off. And I know the new Lycos coat, which is a sweet freaking coat. It's the puffy black one. They're on sale right now for $99. So if you want one, go check them out, because they're regularly $220, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I want to introduce everybody to Mike Dianda. He owns and runs Prime Revolution TV. I've seen a few things, Butch and the Nosler boys and everybody sent me over the time, just rubbing salt in my wounds about shooting big deer and stuff. And Mike always seemed to be there when we did it. I told Sparks, I'm like, we're not friends anymore if you keep sending me this stuff. But so I just wanted to get Mike on here, and I wanted to talk, hunting and some of the things you've seen, and maybe some strategies and tips and tricks. But go ahead and introduce yourself, Mike.
I'm Mike Dianda from Reno, Nevada. One of the hosts of Prime Revolution TV. I have a partner, Clint Capurro. We have our kids on there. My son Joey, his son Connor, and then behind the scenes, my wife Julie, who does all the books and pretty much makes everything run. So I just, they try to make me look good on TV, which is a feat in itself. But she's the one that really makes it run and yells at us when we're not doing something right. But yeah, so it's been a fun ride. I have a real job here back in Reno. I have a construction company that I run with my brother. So when I get to go hunting in the fall, it's nice. We trade places. He goes, I stay home. I go, he stays home. And it's been a lot of fun. I never thought that I would get into filming my hunts and putting them out there for people to see. But, a lot of people enjoy it. A lot of people don't. But we're having a good time doing it, and it's a lot of fun. So
good. The other person, of course, Leslie's here from Long Range Tactics. You guys that are listening,
Leslie,
aren't going to see her, but you're going to hear that little southern drawl she's got going on. Take back to Georgia roots. When I was stationed down there, I was stationed in where the hell was I? Fort Gordon. Shit, I can't even think. It's been that long. Losing it, getting old. My wife brought up. She's like, like this year you're going to be 2 years, 3, however many years, I'm going to be 40. And I'm like, why you got to bring that up? I mean, there's a lot of things to bring up. Yeah. Why you got to keep, I don't know. It's just, you get old and then you feel old. And then, anyway.
Shit, I wish I was 40 again. That was a long time ago. Damn.
Yeah, I know. But shit, that's one of the things always gets me is the age thing. But
I know.
I want to welcome Leslie. She did build her 6 dasher. We should see some more pictures of it soon once she gets behind it and start shooting with us, if we can find freaking components and go to matches and everything else. But there it is. There's a freaking cat. Bitch, I knew it was coming. That damn cat comes on every freaking episode. She's got wild stuff going on in that house, getting western. Anyway, let's get back to my Mike before I go off on a tangent. That usually happens. So you started Prime Revolution. Now a lot of people ask, they're like, well, how the hell how did you do that? You just started making money. But I think the biggest thing is you've got to have a different job to make money to be able to build up a company to do that. Like, I don't know how, like, the Crush and a lot of these people, built the company in the beginning, but you had to have some sort of a solid, stable job to even start it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my partner and I, Clint, we both have day jobs, like I said, and with a little encouragement from some other people we knew in the industry, we decided to start a TV show. I don't know why, but it's been kind of a rough ride. Had its ups and downs, but with the support of companies like Cryptech, they keep us going. And there's a lot of our own money that we put into the show to keep it going. And I think people don't understand that. They see on TV and they think, oh, well, he's wearing Cryptek and he's shooting a Leupold scope and, he's got this big fancy rifle and, oh, it's just all free. Well, what they don't understand is nothing is free. So, there's a lot of hard work and some of your own money that comes out of your pocket to keep the thing going. But we do it because, number one, we love to do it. Number two, my buddy Clint likes to hear himself talk on camera. And, we get a lot of feedback from our audience and they like what we're doing. It's a family show. We've had our kids involved since they were little. My wife's been on the show. Clint's wife's been on the show, his daughters, and that's what it's all about. We try to portray the next generation of hunters and outdoorsmen and conservationists. I think because if we don't, we're a small voice, but if we don't get that out there, we're going to lose what we have in the future. And I mean, maybe our kids or grandkids won't know what we had, and that's kind of a scary, sad thing. So just right. Try to promote the sport of hunting and all the ethics behind it, and that's kind of why we did it and why we keep doing it.
Yeah, that's one of those things. And I've been trying to teach my son that. For some reason, he got the bug of fishing. Like, I don't know where or how he got it. He went and got his own fly fishing stuff. He watched YouTube and taught himself how to tie flies. I have no idea how. And, the kids today have a lot of different options to learn, things that we never had when we were younger. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have all this kind of stuff. We had MySpace. That was crazy. That was a minute ago. But, that's one of those things is, even from my dad's time to now, the change within the hunting community has just gone crazy. And now the thing that does worry me is it is becoming a rich man's sport, a rich woman's sport. It's one of those things that you've got to have a ton of money. You've got to have a ton of backing to even go do some of this. I mean, it's just out of control. And then the amount of people that they say, hunting's losing, but I keep seeing more and more people on the mountain, and I don't know, where all that's coming, because I would really love to sit down and talk to a biologist. I'm still trying to understand some of this stuff and where their thought processes come. But and I'm sure you're the same boat. I mean, I'm just worried about the direction that hunting is going, and there's a lot of these big organizations that come in that want to try and fix stuff, and then they're just like politicians, right? They see the money involved, and then everything starts changing, and then all of a sudden that's not as cool anymore because now we figured out a way to make money. So it is good that you guys are kind of trying to portray it, and take it back to its roots. So I like that.
Yeah, and I think on one side, I think it's a good thing with all the money that's being spent, because I believe a lot of it does go to conservation for the animals. Building guzzlers, reseeding a burn area, things like that. But we won't mention any names today, but some of these organizations that, like you said, that do come in and say they're going to do this, say they're going to do that. I wish they would be more open about where that money is going and what it's actually doing, because it does turn into politics at that point when the public who's donating that money to those organizations has no idea where it's going. And then just in the last 5 years, just speak for Nevada, from where I live and where I'm from, the mule deer population is on a huge decline. And I'm going to call my Department of Wildlife out on the table and say, you guys aren't doing shit about it, because you won't listen to the outfitters in the field. You have meetings, they get shut down. They don't want to listen to what the guys and outfitters have to say. They don't want to listen to the general public. They don't want to listen to, guys like me, for example, that put a lot of money back into trying to keep our mule deer population alive. I was talking to a buddy of mine at the expo, and he's a guide buddy of mine, and we're good friends, and we hunt together all the time. And it took him from the 5th of November until and he's in the mountains almost every day, to the December 20th. He finally saw a 4-point in White Pine County. So that's saying something, that we're over hunting, overkilling. We're not we're not doing the conservation work that our money is supposed to be going towards.
Right. Yeah, and the management side of that, right? There's been a way that they've managed it forever. There has been. But at some point, the same management doesn't work in 2022 that it did in 2000 or the early 90s, because it was a different deer herd. There was different stuff. Same thing as up here in Utah, it was the same thing. And, up the road, there was a big area that was a mule deer winter range. I mean, it was fields, it was open, it was everything else. Tons of mule deer went through there. People would go out and there'd be big bucks come down in there all the time. Now, all of it, 115% of it is houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now all of the winter range is completely gone. All the winter range right here above me along the freeway, there used to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deer everywhere along this winter range. Now you might see a group of 30 deer if you're lucky. So you can't tell me. I keep getting that, like, hey, there's more deer, there's more stuff than there's ever been. Oh, bullshit. Where are they then, if that's the case? And, I'm not bashing all biologists, because there's a couple really good biologists out there trying to do stuff, but they've all been taught a certain way to manage these deer herds, and it's not working right anymore, in my opinion. And maybe you have a different idea with that, but that's my opinion.
No, I think there is a lot of good biologists out there. I believe that their hands are tied as well, because your wildlife boards don't want to listen to them either. It's all about revenue, and nobody wants to raise a license fee. Nobody wants to raise a tag fee, because the guy that works 9 to 5 can't afford $5 more for his hunting license every year, or $10 more to purchase a deer tag if he's successful in the draw. Well, I hate to be an asshole when I say this, but if you can't afford $5 more to buy a hunting license every year, or $10 more to buy your deer tag if you're successful in the draw, then maybe you shouldn't be out there. It's not that an exorbitant amount of money that you can't afford if you're successful in the draw, or even that $5 more a year to buy a hunting license. And I mean, let's face it, I've been very fortunate and have gotten to do a lot of hunting in my lifetime, and let's stop giving out so many tags. Let's maybe give a few more tags to youth hunters, and maybe take an area and shut it down for a year, and rotate it across the state, where you take an area and shut it down for a year or 2 years, and give those deer a chance to come back, or any other species for that matter. I don't know. I got my own ideas on plenty of solutions, but and I'm sure other people have probably better ideas than I do, but it just seems like we're not doing any of them. And so that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, and the unit that I hunted this year for deer put on an early hunt, right? And it got crazy because it snowed. It was the weirdest freaking thing. It hadn't snowed that early in a long time, and the deer got weird. They started pushing does. They got stupid like they do when they start breeding.
Mm-hmm.
And there were all these 2 points around. The genetics there were these big 2 points, and by big 2 points, they were big 2 points compared to what you usually see. And every one of them that I saw got killed. I wasn't going to do it. I could have shot a couple with a freaking arrow. They were just dumb, And so that early hunt really screwed the deer population up in that area. I ended up killing a great buck. Took me till almost the last day to find him, but he started doing the same thing. He started pushing deer too. But every buck that we saw got shot. You know, and that was the crazy thing is sometimes the winter there's nothing you can do about it, but now they're doing it again, even with that many deer getting killed. And there's not that many deer, so now they're giving the deer in some areas. They're doing an early, they're doing a general, they're doing a muzzle loader, and then they're doing a late muzzle loader in the middle of the rut, right? So you're like, when do they get freaking time to relax? When do they get time to regenerate? They're like, well, the fawns are getting hurt because they're getting pushed around so much that they're not getting the feed they need or the energy. And then you've got guys in this like a couple months later chasing them for their horns. I mean, there's so many things. These deer are under constant barrage. At some point, we've got to give them a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think unless it's maybe a specialized hunt like Nevada, for example, we don't really per se have a rut hunt. I think our late hunts run to November 5th. If it's a cold year and we get snow, then yeah, it's a rut hunt because they get pushed into that cycle early. But you know, maybe shut it off third week of October. You know, I don't know what the answer is, or go to a system like Colorado has, where you know they got different seasons, but they're only 5-day hunts. I mean, our hunts in Nevada are 5 weeks long if you draw a deer tag, depending on what unit it is, and that's that's too much.
Yeah, Utah's 5 days, but I mean,
Right.
you're hitting them with so many hunts, one right after the
After
other.
the other, yeah.
You're getting, you've got maybe 2 days. So from archery to early deer in a lot of them, to general deer, to muzzleloader, to late muzzleloader, which is the end of November, which is right in the rut. So they're getting, and the bucks are already strapped for weight and everything else because they're rutting, and then you go start chasing them around. That's something else. But I don't know. I mean, we can talk about that all day long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. we can go to a different subject.
Yeah, we'll be here all freaking afternoon.
I know. Leslie's not saying anything.
I know. Usually you can't get her to shut up. I know she's just quiet.
I'm Corbin. No, it's the same thing. And so I do the archery, and it's been that same kind of internal battle. So we will legit start our deer hunt in like August 15th. And you have until, gosh, the end of November. So you get to go archery through all these extra seasons. And yeah, there's just constant, they're being just harassed at all points. And you're right, I've seen more hunters in so I've only been in Utah 7 years. Every year it's like I just see a whole new sea of more and more people, and it's tough because you're not sure. We got to be giving the population a chance to recover at some point. I haven't seen it yet.
Right. And a lot of people, especially here in Utah, quit rifle hunting and stuff because that was the problem. There was too many people rifle hunting. And so they all decided they were either going to go muzzleloader hunt or they were going to go archery hunt. So now the archery hunters have doubled and tripled in size, not to mention all the move-ins. Yeah, they're getting hurt, but we'll get off of this. We're going rabbit hole. You gave me some topics you want to hit. I liked your topics because we try to preach them a lot, here on the podcast, then on Long Range Tactics. But one of them was practice. A lot of things that, we go into when we try to teach new people how to shoot is, get off your belly, practice with how you shoot, different things like that. And I kind of wanted to go through that with you. How do you guys train before you go on a hunt, or what are you guys practicing when you do it?
When I was a kid, my dad and my uncles taught me how to shoot, and everything I learned as a kid growing up was, you sighted your rifle in on a bench, you made sure that you had your zero, but then you practiced, are you going to be in an awkward position shooting off your backpack? Are you going to be standing up? Do you have to freehand a shot? Putting yourself in different scenarios and practicing that way. And I think it makes you a better hunter if you practice those situations versus getting out there and going, oh, well, I don't have a bench. Now what do I do? You know, I didn't really.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can see shooting off a bench to sight in your rifle, right? And then, but the thing is, people, kind of to your point, is people don't sit there, get off the bench, lay on your stomach, go prone, like you said, put down a pack and shoot a couple shots. You know, the old mantra was put a pie plate out there at 100 yards. If you hit the pie plate, you're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with everything now that is going on with long range rifles, you know, the 500-yard shots, 800-yard shots, and everything else, even if you hit a pie plate at 100 yards, at 1,000 yards, that's a gigantic, you know, deviation that
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to do. And I think that needs to be in people's minds. Like, you taking your grandpa's 30-06 out and shooting at a pie plate isn't, you know, it isn't. The word I like to use is ethical. It's not ethical for the animals, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I really didn't know that much about long range shooting until, oh God, I think the first school I went to was probably maybe 10 years ago, right after I met Butch and Josh from Crib Tech, and we all went down to the SAM course at the FTW Ranch in outside San Antonio down there in Texas. And, you know, those guys do a great job down there. I mean, big shout out to Tim Fallon, who runs that. You know, I've been there 4 times, taking my wife, taking my son. They've both been there a couple times. And, you know, the biggest thing, like you said, is the animal deserves a one-shot kill, a clean, ethical one-shot kill. And you owe that to the animal that you're hunting. And, you know, I try to do that every time. Does it always work out? No, it doesn't always work out. You know, we get criticized on Facebook and Instagram, and, you know, the keyboard cowboys in their mom's basement that think they know everything and say, oh, well, that was a bad shot and it was back in the guts. And when it really wasn't, it was right behind the front shoulder. And, you know, maybe I was shooting the wrong bullet. I try different bullets all the time to see what works the best. But, you know, you try your best every time to make a clean, ethical one-shot kill. It doesn't always work out. It's part of hunting, but you try your best, you know, all the time. And that's why I think, you know, practicing in those, giving yourself different scenarios on what might happen in the field and practicing those, I feel like it makes you a better hunter when you're out in the field actually doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You know, I've told this to coyote hunters and stuff. I said, okay, you've shot off the bench. How many times are you going to try and shoot a coyote off the bench? Well, they're like, never.
Never.
Why haven't you sat down on your ass and used a tripod or used shooting sticks or however you're going to hunt? Go out there and practice that. You know, you're like you said, you're never going to have that point to where you're going to have the perfect shot every time. But to your point again, if you practice the variables, you're going to be able to take some of those variables out. You're never going to be perfect at wind reading, especially across the canyon, you know, especially depending on BC. Some of your inputs might not be perfected. You know, it's an animal and you're going to try and do your best. But just going to the range and shooting a plate, you know, or putting 5 rounds down the range. And then, you know, I've seen it personally where somebody will go out and shoot a pie plate and then they're just lobbing shots at 800 yards. And I'm like, dude, that's not fair to that animal. You're going to wound it. It's going to go off. It might die. Something's going to grab it. You know, that is not ethical at all. And you've got to understand what your limit is as well. You know, how far are you going to shoot? What's your limit? And then training yourself, kind of what you said with bullets. Bullets are a huge thing with range, with energy, with velocity. You got to understand what your bullets are going to do at that range as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and the whole, I don't know, there's so many good bullets out there now. You know, different guns like different bullets, different grains, different, you know, but if the BC is off and it's not a long range bullet, then, you know, I'm not going to use it. But there's a lot of bullets out there that have a great BC, but they're not a killing bullet. And then, you end up wounding an animal. And I've, to be honest, I've had that happen to me. And, talk to the guy that loads, loads my rounds for me. And we've had that discussion like, hey, this thing's great on paper. It's, it's a quarter-minute gun at 100, but at 500, it's not killing anything. So that's not working for me. So we gotta go a different route. So
yeah, you've got to understand there's differences. There's jacketed lead core bullets, which are Burgers, which are Sierras, which are some of those. You got monolithic bullets, which are the all copper expanding, like the Barnes or the trophy bonded bear claws or any of that. You've got to understand, number one, what you're shooting, hide thickness, all that type of stuff. And that's something that a good, responsible hunter, in my mind, needs to go start checking. Like you said, just because it shoots good at 100 doesn't mean shit when it comes to. I'd rather have a 1 MOA gun at 100, but I know that bullet's going to freaking expand 100% every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Than a quarter-minute gun, and it might pencil through, it might kill it. I don't know, and that's something that you've got to understand when you're going through that. So that was a good way to put that. I guess your next part is your gear preparation, because like I said, we all represent Cryptek, so we're all gonna take our clothing gear. But what else do you think are like the most important things on a hunt that you need to plan for?
Boots are a big part of it. You got to have a good pair of boots that you like, that you've walked in before you went on the hunt. You just don't go buy them off the internet or go to Sportsman's Warehouse or wherever you shop and buy a brand new pair of boots and head to the mountains with them, or you're gonna end up with blisters all over your feet. A good set of optics. There's a lot of affordable optics out there that are really good. Weight, whether it's if it's a backpack hunt, are you carrying a small tripod and a smaller spotting scope versus if you're hunting out of a truck and you're doing day hikes, are you using a bigger scope, bigger pair of binoculars that you can put on a tripod, a good rangefinder, so you're not just out there doing the old Kentucky windage like we did when we were kids that your grandfather taught you.
Yeah.
I don't know, everything from a backpack that fits so you're not super sore, to I try to keep myself in shape, but let's face it, I'm not 18 like my son, and I can't fly up the mountains anymore. So, I like to carry a good walking stick, and that'll save you, especially when you're coming downhill. If you got a big, pack and you got a lot of meat in there, and, it's hard on the old knees. A good walking stick is good. Saves you from falling down and getting hurt. I like to carry leather. I always have a pair of leather gloves in my pack. If you're hunting the desert and you got a bunch of thorns and stickers, or you got a bunch of sharp rocks, I think leather gloves are really good. Butch and I have had that conversation before, and I'd be like, "Hey man, how come we're out here hunting and you're not wearing any of your gloves?" And he's like, "Well, you're not wearing any of my gloves either." And I said, "Well, then come out with a good pair of leather gloves." So he finally listened to me, and he did. So
it's the little things that you never think of when you're hunting, whether it comes to like 550 cord in a kill kit, or like you said, leather gloves, or cleaning stuff for your optics. Like, it's the little things that you could honestly put in a little part of your pack that wouldn't take up a whole lot of weight. But what are some like small things that people wouldn't think of to put in their hunt kits that they wouldn't think of, but have saved your ass time and time again?
Definitely, like, just fire starter, a lighter, like you said, 550 cord, extra batteries, an emergency blanket, a good inReach, the Garmin GPS inReach, in case you get in a situation where you if it's life and death and you gotta get out of there, you can text somebody and maybe they can send the cavalry. A good friend of mine, it happened to him a couple of years ago on a Rocky Mountain bighorn hunt in Alberta, and they got caught in a forest fire, and he texted his wife off his inReach, and she got a hold of the local authorities, and they sent a helicopter and got him and the guides out of there, and saved their bacon. Or he might have died in that fire. So
Butt poker.
just little things like that, like an inReach, or if you can afford it, a satellite phone. But all the necessities to survive. I always like to keep I keep aspirin in my backpack. I keep Advil or Aleve, an ace bandage in case you got a break. I like to keep duct tape and electrical tape in my backpack, so in case you gotta make a splint. Just little things like that. Extra batteries, extra flashlight, maybe an extra headlamp. Always have enough water, and I always have. It doesn't go bad. Everybody's got power bars, and add this to your water and it'll make you go farther. And I just carry a bag of good old beef jerky in there in case you get stuck out there for a day or two. At least you got some sustenance to keep you going, and you got a little bit of protein and some beef jerky, and it doesn't go bad for a while. So
yeah, then like a life straw, some of that's been one of those, for water and different things depending on what. But I mean, that's there's so many things that you could add or you didn't. One of the guys on Long Range Tactics last year did a review on how to add it, put a kill kit, what he called a kill kit, with a tarp and 550 cord and everything you'd need for that. And it kind of even made me think, like, this year when we went elk hunting, I'm like, hell, that's nice to know that this is what I would want to put in that, because it made my life a lot easier. I laid the tarp out, I put my meat on it, it didn't get dirty, just little simple things that you don't think of. So that's awesome. So you said one of the things you said was physical preparation. You were talking about going up and down hills and stuff like that. Like, what is your best way to prepare? Is it throwing shit in your pack and just going for a walk, or like, what are you preparing for when you prepare for it?
Like the winter months, like 2 weeks ago in Reno, it was springtime here, and now it's winter again. But I have a gym membership. I bring my pack to the gym. I always keep like 30 pounds, I'll put some rocks in there, wrap them around an old sweatshirt or jacket, and bring it to the gym, get on the treadmill or the Stairmaster. And, I like to do some weight training, especially with my core and my legs, and, still do some shoulder presses and some bench press, and just not heavy. Like, I'm not trying to play ball anymore or be some, macho bodybuilder guy, but it's nice to keep your muscles. You got to keep them toned and tight. You can walk all the time and walk up and down mountains, but if you don't have some core strength and some leg strength and some stamina, it's gonna hurt you when you get out there. And I've been guilty of that myself in the past, as far as, oh, well, it's not going to be that hard of a hunt, and I don't got to train that hard. It'll be okay. And then, when you get there and you're in, day two, and you're super sore, you can, barely get out of bed in the morning. You're like, God, I got to go do that again, and this is not enjoyable. So I think if your cardio is pretty good, and you got some weight training behind you, where where your muscles you got a little stamina there, it'll make the hunt more enjoyable, and you'll want to be out there, and you'll want to walk up and down that mountain because you're in shape to do it, and you feel good, and then it's enjoyable, and it keeps you from, I think the big part of that is, it keeps you from getting hurt while you're out there. I mean, you can get hurt in the mountains. I mean, you can break an ankle, you could, twist up your knee, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So I think that keeping yourself in some sort of physical shape, lessens the odds of you getting hurt while you're out there. So, and it makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's everybody, as you get older, you don't bounce as good. We've all found that out. We can't go up and down, like you said, mountains as fast as the kids make us look bad when we're doing it. So yeah, making sure you take care of yourself. I've seen a lot of people like around here we've got a lot of the truck hunters, the road hunters. We still got a lot of them, but if you truly want to put in the work and you want to get good animals, unless you're lucky like some of them guys, I don't know how the hell they do it. They ride the road and shoot giant deer, and I'm out there.
Yeah, it never happens for me.
Freaking
never happens for me.
One of your other ones was here we go, reputable outfitters. In the shooting sense, we always talk about this. Make sure when you're going to a class, make sure the person's worth a shit. There's so many freaking people out there trying to teach shooting classes now that shouldn't even be near it. But same thing goes for outfitters. There's a lot of outfitters out there that like taking your money just like anything else. And how would you go about even looking into making sure they're worth putting your money into? And then how do you go about planning through that? Where do you find them? Do you just go to shows or what?
A lot of the shows, and God, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been very blessed to be able to hunt around the globe like I have for the past 30, 40 years. And so word of mouth, people that you've met, people that have been somewhere before. And I'm going to draw a blank today. It's been a long day, but if you go to Jim Shockey's website, maybe Leslie knows what it is, but he has a link to like all the guides and outfitters in the US and Canada, as far as who's reputable, what they're, it's almost like a hotel rating. Like, are they 2-star, 5-star, 4-star, whatever. And they're all vetted on there. I just can't remember the name of what it's called, but there's things like that you can do. And, if you plan on going on a guided hunt, it's really hard to vet somebody. And if you do go to a show and you're talking to an outfitter and you don't get a good vibe, always go with your gut, because it never lies. And there's a lot of people out there that have done this, more than I have. And everybody's got friends that have been on a guided hunt somewhere, and they can tell you, how, hey, don't go with this guy, or this guy's good, or this person's great, or whatever. I mean, just kind of do your homework, look at their website, ask questions like, what are your accommodations? What, if it's a backpack hunt, what, are we going on horseback? What kind of horses do you have? How long have your guides been working there? What kind of area do you have? What's the success rate? If it's a sheep hunt, say, what's your success rate on sheep? What kind of sheep have you taken? How long have you been in business? Just little things like that, so that you don't, you go to a show and some guy's got a picture of a giant doll sheep, and he's trying to sell you the world, and you're like, oh wow, that looks cool, I'm going there. And then you get there and it's not as advertised. And I think that happens a lot, in anything you do. But it's kind of crappy to say that it happens in the hunting industry, but it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and kind of add to that, like if you are looking for outfitters, plan on, if it's a good outfitter, they're usually booked out a year to 2 years, depending on where you're going.
Yeah.
And that might help a lot of you, whether you want to put a deposit down and you can save money over the next year or 2 years. I'm doing that for an Africa hunt now. You just put a deposit down, you schedule it in 2023, 2024, and by then it's all paid. So you're not, eating that whole cost all at once, and understanding that a lot of people are like, well, I've just got to pay it all up front. No, you don't. Most of them, are like, hey, just pay us a deposit, $500,000. And that also gives you the time to research them too, as well. If you want to look into more, and if they're good, they'll give you some names, maybe of some people that have used them before. So those are kind of some points that you can really think about as you're doing that. Africa and stuff. There's so many different safaris and stuff, and I've heard horror stories about people getting over there. And I mean, it's a 15 hours to 20 hour, flight and everything else, and you get over there and it's a shit show. It's like it's kind of your fault for not, going through and following that.
Yeah, and if they are a reputable outfitter, they're going to work with you on, hey, give me this much now, this much in 6 months, this much more in 6 months, and then, I'll let you know when the balance is due. And, a lot of the guys that I've been with, when you ask them, hey, who has hunted with you before, or do you have any repeat clients that I could talk to? And if they're a good reputable outfitter, they'll actually give you the name and number. And I've called on some of those people, and they're like, oh yeah, I had a great time. It was a great experience. Everything was first class. I didn't get screwed around. So take the time and make those calls, ask those kind of questions like you said, and it'll make your experience a lot better, and you won't get screwed over in the process while you're maybe booking the hunt of a lifetime, and then you get over there and it's not what you expected.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to be shelling out for like an Africa hunt or Alaska hunt.
Oh, absolutely.
Yukon hunt. I mean, you're talking sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. So you got to make sure it's 100%, what it is. Connie, the owner of Barn, she went over there and shot her animal she always wanted to shoot was a jaguar. Or a leopard. She shot a leopard. Jaguars in the jungle. What the hell am I thinking? She shot a leopard, and she went through and everything, and then when it came back, it was completely ruined because they didn't take care of it. She finally went back a few years ago and killed another one. But I mean, that's one of those hunts that you don't just get to do anytime. Leopard's one of those. It's on the definite. Not very many of those get killed every year type thing. So
yeah, exactly.
So next one. And this one's a huge one that people don't really do. And maybe you've got some apps. There's a ton of apps out there that can help you with this. But success rates, how many points it took to draw, that kind of thing, whether it be a Go Hunt or whatever membership that requires. Do you recommend going with an app and doing that, or how do you go about doing it?
I usually just let's take Nevada for instance. You can actually go on their website and look at all the different areas, and they'll post the success ratios to how many tags they gave out. They don't say what if it was deer area. They don't give you the size of deer that was killed there, whether it was a 4-point or 3-point, 2-point, whatever. But they'll give you success ratios, or they'll give you the what they feel like the populace of deer was in that unit, and maybe the success ratio was only 20%, but in another area it was 50%. So you can go about it like that. And then I've found by just talking to people like oh God, I'm drawing a blank on his company's name now, but Jason Carter, who's a good friend of mine. Sorry, Jason, I can't remember the name of your company right now. Yeah. But those guys they'll put you in for different states, and it's a minimal fee what they charge you. But even if you have questions and you don't use their service, guys like that will tell you, hey, put in here, put in there, give it a shot in this unit. They're very open to that. They're not everybody out there that has a company is trying to make a dollar off you. If you just ask the question, they'll tell you. And if you want more out of it, it might cost you, maybe $50 a year to use their service, and they put in for you. They put the, hey, this is the best area, but it's going to maybe take you 10 years to draw it, or this is a really good area, but the success rate isn't very high, but it might only take you 5. So you have those options out there. I'm not a big technology guy, so I don't necessarily use an app to figure out where I'm going to go hunting. I just usually get on the phone and make calls to people I know and see where they've been and what they've done and where they've put in for. My kid always makes fun of me. He's like, Dad, just do this. Just use this app. And I'm like, I don't know how. Just do it for me. So
Yeah, what do you think I have you for?
exactly.
Yeah, and a lot of people have talked about Go Hunt and stuff, and I haven't tried any of those apps. I mean, I wouldn't mind trying it. So if any of you, have any feedback for us, let us know. We're always got our ears open because I honestly,
Yeah. Help us old guys out here.
But that's one of those things that's hard anymore is understanding how many points it takes and success rates. And I mean, you're in most of these units, you're spending 10, 15 years putting in for it. And at the 10, 15 years, you really hope that all those years you've waited, there still is a good deer herd or good elk herd or whatever you're going to hunt there. But that's just one of those things I guess you got to gamble with and see. But there are a lot of great units, New Mexico, Utah, Idaho. There's different places you can go just draw over the counter tags. And there's plenty of places to go look kind of stuff like that up. But we won't get too much into that. But another question that I'm sure you've probably been asked a lot is, when you guys started filming your show and everything else, did you guys kind of self-film most of it? Are you still self-filming, or how do you guys go about, the filming process, the editing process, that kind of stuff? Because we all know a lot of people are trying to be YouTube sensations now. So
yeah. No, we have, when we first started, had a good buddy of mine here in Reno that has his own production company, and then he got too busy. He does a lot of stuff for the X Games, and so he didn't, he couldn't do what he was doing and then film us as well. And then so we met a guy through Butch at Cryptech there up in Idaho, Silverline Films. So they do all of our filming and our editing and our production. So, that's another side of it that's a cost. But if I had to film it myself, it wouldn't turn out the way it does. So, those guys are. It's an art to be a good filmer. I'm definitely not one of those guys. I'm a trigger guy, and they're a camera guy. They do what they do to make it look good. There's a lot that goes into it, and I don't mind paying that cost to have somebody that's a professional do that. We've tried to film a couple on our own, and then they turn out okay. And then when you send it to the Silverline guys, they got to go through and edit it, and they go, what did you do here? And I'm like, I don't know, just fix it.
Looks like the Blair Witch Project all over again.
Yeah, exactly. The hills have eyes kind of thing. It's like, it's ugly.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's there's so many things that goes into this, and people are like, well, that's the new thing. You get a couple GoPros, you can go film your thing, but there's always that next level you want to get to, whether it's reviews for us and different things, is how much money you're going to invest in it and everything else. Would you rather invest money being a YouTube or TV star, or would you rather invest the money just going and hunting? I mean, that's something that I guess, you guys listening, if you want to become like Mike and have a TV show, those are some questions you're going to have to ask yourself, I guess. Right.
Yeah. And it's man, there are some hunts that I go on with my son and my wife that I don't film because I'm just tired of having a camera in my face all the time. And I just want to go back to how I grew up hunting and my roots, and I don't want to film it. I just want to be out in the mountains enjoying myself and enjoying my time with my family and hunting, and if we kill something, great. If we don't, that's great too. But it's just, it's kind of my time. It's nice every once in a while to just get away and enjoy that, because that's what hunting's all about. And we try to bring that to our audience of, hey, this is a family, adventure here. We're all in this together, but you still got a camera in your face all the time, and sometimes it gets a little old, and you just don't feel like talking that day, and then people are like, well, what's wrong with him? And you're just like, nothing's wrong with me. I just don't feel like talking to you today.
Yeah,
Just need a little bit of alone time.
when I was at Remington and Barnes, I built a lot of custom loads for a lot of TV people, and I'd always get calls. I'm like, so did you kill the big one? No, the freaking videographer didn't have the camera on it. It got away, and all pissed off, and I heard that story so many times, because you've got to have the camera. When you see people, okay, you want it? Or you want it? Or you want it? And they're not on it, and then they'll start fighting and wanting to throw punches because they missed this giant thing. And that's a good thing that I guess you guys have with your guys' videographers, is you've probably got it down to a science. But it's funny, all the stuff that goes on behind the cameras that nobody sees.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the camera that you don't see, but and that's I guess the wonderment of editing. But I've told my guys before that hey, this is a once in a lifetime hunt, so I'm going to do my best to make sure that you're on the animal. And if the shot presents itself and you're not ready, I'm taking the shot anyway, and then I'll apologize to the audience later, because I'm not going to miss a once in a lifetime shot. And hopefully the viewers understand that it's part of hunting, and sometimes you don't get the camera on it. It's just the way it is.
It's
maybe that's selfish of me, but it's if you pay a lot of money to go on a hunt, and if it doesn't make it on camera, it just sometimes that's part of the gig, and it has happened to me before. And I've apologized for it, but it is what it is sometimes. So
yeah, and I kind of stole one of your pictures to showcase this. What sheep were those? Were they Marco Polos or what?
Marco Polo, yeah.
Where was that at?
Tajikistan.
Freaking A, I've heard those are a son of a bee to hunt.
They are. It's the mountains are big. They're not like they are steep in a sense that you're hunting anywhere between 12,500 to 16,000 feet, but they're more of a gradual climb than they are just straight up and down. But it's all open over there. It's 4-inch tall cheatgrass and a bunch of rocks. So to make a stalk takes all day, and then you're dealing with elevation, and to go 100 yards takes maybe 15-20 minutes, because at 14,000 feet there's not a lot of oxygen there. So, and then you got to deal with altitude sickness, and hoping that you don't get it when you travel all the way over there. And if you do get it and you can't get better, then your hunt's over and you didn't even get to start. So so many different elements that play into that. And I was over there with my buddy Clint, and we found a group of rams. We'd been on them all day, and after 10 hours, when we were in position to make a shot, hunting in Asia is a whole different animal all in itself. You have 7 packers and 2 guides and a cameraman and 2 hunters, and it's basically a shit show on the mountain. And you're trying to get a range on an animal, you're trying to help your buddy out, and you're trying to tell your cameraman, hey, it's this sheep at the bottom, and he's like, I'm on the ones to the right, and you're like, no, the 2 rams that we're going to shoot are on the left. Well, which ones? And you're like, 3rd one back, 4th one back. I can't find them. Okay, they're about to go over the hill. You guys better shoot. So it's like you take the shot, you apologize later, and it's just things happen in the heat of the moment, and you're trying to tell all these these Tajik guys to shut the hell up, and they don't understand you, and you don't understand them, and it just kind of turns into a shit show every once in a while. And you just gotta make the best of it, and block everything out, and make the shot, and let the rest fall where it falls.
Yeah, they get all excited and start jabbering and everything else, and then that's when the shit hits the fan and it goes crazy, because everybody's going crazy trying to keep it. Out of all the animals you ever shot, what would have been your favorite?
God, that's a tough question because I have a problem with giant mule deer. So I got a couple bucks that were that are my favorite, but I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that question. That's tough.
There's just been a lot of good ones. I mean, who else gets to hunt, ibex or Marco Polos and stuff? You guys have hunted some really cool stuff. I mean, that's
Yes,
just one of
absolutely. We have.
lifetime, once in a lifetime deal. So you guys have been definitely blessed with that. And you guys are on the Sportsman's Channel, right?
We were on the Sportsman's Channel up to well, last year we weren't on there. We went totally digital, and so we're on. We have our own YouTube channel, and then Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all those things that I don't know how to run. So
seems like a lot of
why.
people left Sportsman's Channel and went to either like Carbon TV or some of those. It seems like there was a mass exodus. The Dillons and Big Al at Fox Pro left, and it seemed like there was a lot of people that did.
Yeah, nothing against the Sportsman's Channel or the Outdoor Channel or any of those channels on TV, but you got to pay. That was another big cost. You got to pay a lot of money to be on that network, and they're not really giving you anything in return. So, it's not like I'm Brad Pitt and they're paying me to be on there. I got to pay to be on their channel, and that's a significant cost. And it seems like younger people like my son that they hardly even watch TV anymore. It's either they're streaming, always streaming something on their computer or their laptop or their phone, and I think we've got more viewers and more followers strictly going digital than we ever did when we were on TV. So, and there were a lot of restrictions in the contract that we couldn't post right after we, if I go on a hunt now, I can post it 2 days after I get home if I want to. I couldn't do that when I was on a network. So, and you had to use some of their streaming, and you couldn't just put it where you wanted to put it. So it gives us a little more freedom to do it how we want to do it now.
I got you. Yeah, and I mean, there's always that stuff that people don't see, the public doesn't see, and everybody, but a lot of DirecTV and Dish and a lot of that stuff's dying anyway, and most people are going to Roku and Apple TV, and they're going. So I think that's definitely the direction of a lot of these hunting, but it's making it easier for a lot of people to start their own quote unquote hunting show, and whether they can edit, you can go on YouTube and take some classes, you can buy the right equipment, and you could make a decent video with what you've got. I mean, my new iPhone's freaking crazy at the shit that it shoots.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not, I mean, there's a lot of talented people out there that can do amazing things with a GoPro and an iPhone, or a phone scope, and make a great video and post it on YouTube. I got a buddy that I shoot competitive sporting clays with, and he's got his own YouTube channel, and he films all the shoots we go to, and he's got a giant following, and he does it all with his iPhone. So
yeah, times are changing, man. It definitely is, but it's good. I'm glad we had a little bit of your insights into things, and we kind of bullshitted about some stuff, and the Western big game is definitely changing. I'm gonna be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 to 10 years with everything and the management and everything else that's going there. I truly hope that some things change, because I want my kids and my grandkids to be able to have, some of the things that we were able to have, some of the things or some of the opportunities that we had, I guess you could say. But I appreciate both of you coming on. We've been here an hour. I know you've got a life. We've got everything else to do, and maybe we'll bring you back on here in a little bit, and we can talk more and just kind of bullshit more about hunting and kind of the path of what you want to hunt, how you want to hunt it, and everything else, because we didn't get into what guns you want to use and anything else. But before we go, do you want to kind of tell everybody how to find your stuff online or anything else?
Yeah, just you can Google Prime Revolution or go to our Facebook page, Prime Revolution TV, Instagram, Twitter. We also have a YouTube channel, and you can find us there, and we're all over the place. So just Google us, and you'll find us.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you both for coming on. Hopefully you that listened, learned something from it. Again, if you have any questions or you want me to follow up, PM us, DM us, whatever you want to do, and we'll get them back to Mike. And then, like we said, leave us comments below and kind of let us what you think about some of the topics that we covered today. We appreciate all of you. Thanks, Leslie. I know you kind of came on short notice, but thank you for coming on. We're going to talk to her a little bit more about her dasher build here pretty soon. And again, go to longrangetaktix.com to see our reviews and stuff like that. And of course, in the end, thanks to Falcor Defense. They're another one of our great sponsors. Chassis, actions, everything else. They're putting out a lot of great stuff now, and I'm excited to see some of their new hunting stuff that they're releasing. I've seen some teasers of it. I'm really excited. But thank you all for listening. Until next time, have a good one.
Thanks, Cole. Thanks for having us on. Bye, Leslie.
Bye,
See you
Mom.
guys.
Bye, Cole.
Thank you. Bye-bye.